In a world often divided by politics and opinion, it's easy to forget that at the heart of every conflict is a person, just like you and me. Today, we bring you a story that's both heartwarming and tragic. A story of disagreement, understanding, and an unexpected twist that left an entire city talking. This is the story of Barron Trump and a high-end restaurant in Los Angeles. It was a bright, sunny afternoon in Los Angeles, the kind that made you want to step outside, breathe in the fresh air, and enjoy the moment. Barron Trump, now a young man in his late teens, had just spent a quiet morning reading and decided to treat himself to lunch. He chose La Terrace, a renowned restaurant known for its exclusive atmosphere, the kind of place where high-profile figures gathered for an afternoon meal. It wasn't his first time there, and he had always enjoyed the peaceful, refined environment. As Barron stepped inside, his height and calm demeanor immediately drew attention. But it wasn't just his height that stood out, it was the bright red MAGA hat he wore, resting casually on his head. For Barron, it was just part of his outfit. He wasn't trying to make a statement, just expressing a part of himself. The hostess, a woman in her mid-30s with a polished demeanor, greeted him and led him to a corner table. The restaurant was calm, not crowded, with only a few diners scattered around. Barron opened the menu, seemingly unaware of the eyes on him, until he noticed the whispers. A few waiters exchanged glances. Diners whispered. And then the manager appeared. The manager was a man in his mid-40s, sharp, confident, and unyielding. He walked towards Barron's table, his face tight with determination. As he reached Barron, he spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. Manager said, "Excuse me, sir, we have a policy against political apparel here. I'm going to have to ask you to remove the hat." Barron looked up, surprised, but calm. He wasn't expecting this. Barron said, "I wasn't aware of any policy like that." The manager, not backing down, gestured vaguely to the room. Manager said again, "It's written in our code of conduct. We want to keep this space neutral." Barron, still composed, surveyed the room. People were staring, whispering, pretending not to look. He wasn't trying to cause trouble, just here for lunch. Barron again said, "I'm not trying to cause any trouble. I'm just here for lunch." But the manager wasn't having it. Then manager said, "Take the hat off or I'll have to ask you to leave." Barron paused, his face unreadable. The room grew tense, everyone waiting for what would happen next. Then, with a quiet nod, Barron stood up. Then Barron said, "If that's how you feel, then I'll leave." The restaurant fell silent as Barron grabbed his things. He left without a word, leaving behind his untouched glass of water. The door closed softly behind him, but the tension inside remained thick. Something had changed. Outside, Barron paused. The warm California breeze brushed against his face. He adjusted his MAGA hat, reaffirming his decision to wear it. He wasn't angry, perhaps a little frustrated, but mostly he felt disappointed. He had always been taught to treat people with kindness, even when disagreements arose, and this felt like a betrayal of that belief. He took out his phone and typed a few quick messages to his family and friends, asking for their thoughts. Was he overreacting? Was the manager right? Replies poured in almost immediately. "That's insane. They shouldn't have treated you like that." "You handled it better than I would have." Barron was grateful for the support, but it also made him think. Instead of seeking revenge or getting angry, why not turn this moment into something more positive? By the time Barron returned home, the story was already making waves. Social media was buzzing with opinions, some criticizing the restaurant's actions, others defending the manager's right to enforce the rules. But Barron had a different idea. He wouldn't engage in the feud. Instead, he decided to do something that would bring people together, something constructive. In the hours that followed, Barron made several calls, calm but determined. By the next morning, he had a plan. Barron had decided to hold a public fundraiser outside La Terrace, a fundraiser that would focus on unity, understanding, and bridging divides. The event was not about him or the restaurant. It was about all of us coming together to listen, to understand, and to support those who needed it the most. Volunteers set up tables, food trucks lined the street, and banners with the words, "United we stand, building bridges, not walls," were hung. The event quickly gathered a crowd. Families, young professionals, activists, and even some familiar faces from social media. When Barron took the microphone, his voice was steady, but you could hear the emotion behind it. Barron said, "Yesterday I was asked to leave a restaurant because of a hat. That's okay. I respect their policies, even if I don't agree with them. But what struck me wasn't just being turned away, it was the bigger picture. We've become so quick to judge each other, to take sides, to shut down conversations. That's not who we are. We can do better." The crowd erupted in applause, and Barron continued, his words powerful and filled with purpose. Barron again said, "This event isn't about me. It's about all of us finding ways to listen, to understand, and to come together. The funds raised today will go toward programs that foster dialogue and inclusion. Thank you for being here and proving that unity is stronger than division." As Barron stepped off the stage, the crowd continued to grow. People were connecting, talking, sharing. Inside the restaurant, the atmosphere was starkly different. The manager, who had enforced the no political attire rule with such certainty the day before, now watched from his office window. The once bustling dining room was eerily quiet, the tables empty, and the few remaining diners distracted by the event outside. The manager sat back in his chair, staring at the flood of emails coming in. Complaints, cancellations, critiques, and then one email caught his eye. It was from a regular customer. Manager said, "I've always loved LA to harass, but yesterday's incident was deeply disappointing. Kicking someone out for their personal beliefs isn't neutrality, it's divisive. I hope you'll find a way to make this right." The words hit him harder than he expected. Maybe he had made a mistake. Maybe this was about more than just rules. As the sun began to set, something unexpected happened. The manager, visibly uneasy, walked out into the crowd. The chatter quieted as he approached Barron, who was still shaking hands with guests. Barron smiled politely and extended his hand. The manager hesitated, but then shook it. Manager said again, "I need to start by saying I made a mistake. I reacted out of fear, not logic. I see that now." Narrator. Barron nodded, his expression calm. "It's okay," he said. "We all make mistakes. I just think it's important to have conversations, especially when we disagree." And in that moment, something changed. The manager, looking around at the vibrant community that had gathered, finally understood. Unity was stronger than division. And maybe, just maybe, it was never about the hat after all. As the day drew to a close, the fundraiser continued to thrive. Barron, standing alongside the manager, watched as people came together in a moment of understanding and unity. This wasn't just a story about a hat, it was a story about learning to listen, to grow, and to move forward together. A reminder that sometimes, even in the most unexpected places, we find the opportunity to change. Thank you for joining us today. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Until next time, remember that even in the most divided moments, there's always a chance to build bridges, not walls.